Ladies and gentlemen, the Richland One Employee Choir. Another hand for the Richland One Employee Choir. They sound great. Our choir includes classified and certified staff from schools and departments throughout the district. And we're excited this year to have one of our school board members on the choir, Dr. Richard Moore. The employee choir is directed by our super talented visual and performing arts coordinator, Mr. Walter Graham. Thanks so much to the choir. They'll be back to close the program. And let's hear it for the faculty jazz band. So let me formally say, good morning, Richland One. Good morning. I said, good morning, Richland One. Good morning. I'm Karen York. I'm Executive Director of Communications for Richland One. Welcome to our 2025 Back-to-School Convocation. Our annual Back-to-School Convocation serves as the official kickoff of the new school year for Richland One employees. Our teachers returned to work this morning. Let's hear it for our teachers. And our fabulous students will head back to school 1 week from today on August 11th. Where has the summer gone, right? At this time, I'll ask you to stand for the presentation of the colors by the C.A. Johnson High School Air Force JROTC Color Guard. Color Guard members are Cadet Second Lieutenants Lucero Ramirez, Ronald Hammock, and Vasey Brunson. Color Guard, carry your colors. Leading the Pledge of Allegiance are 3 students from Hyatt Park Elementary School, Kelsey Evans, Kayla Sharp, and King Craig.
Forward, march, left, 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 right, right, left, left. Color guard, halt, left, face, present, colors.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Order, colors. Right, face. Forward, march. Left, 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 right. Right, left, left.
You may be seated. Let's thank the cadets and their instructors. You guys can go on back up to your seats. Thank you so much. Didn't they do a great job? So let's first thank the cadets and their instructors, Lieutenant Colonel Alan Stewart and Senior Master Sergeant Brian Thompson, who completed their first year at C.A. Johnson last year. Under their leadership, C.A. Johnson's JROTC program earned an overall exceed standards rating on their formal unit assessment. And it's been 15 years since their JROTC program has earned that highest possible rating. Wow, let's give them a hand. We also want to shout out C.A. Johnson Principal Dr. Brenton Coe and all of his students and staff. Great things are happening at C.A. Johnson and at Hyatt Park Elementary as well. Thanks again to our Hyatt Park students for leading the Pledge of Allegiance this morning. Hyatt Park recently became the second Richland One school, the second school in South Carolina, and one of only 2 schools worldwide this year to be named a Visible Learning Plus certified school. So congratulations to Principal Dr. Danielle Riley and her team at Hyatt Park. We also want to shout out Hopkins Elementary Principal Audrey Garner and her students and staff. Hopkins Elementary was the first school in the district and in the state to be named a Visible Learning Plus certified school. So give them a hand. So most Richland One employees will watch this morning's Back-to-School Convocation from their respective work sites. School and department staff are asked to use the Rising Together hashtag when they post greetings from their sites on social media, and I'll shout out as many as possible during the program, which is being live streamed on our website. At this time, I'd like to recognize some of our distinguished audience members. First, the members of the Richland One Board of School Commissioners. I'll ask them to stand and give us a wave as I call their names, and we'll ask them to turn so the audience can see their smiling faces. First, Mr. Robert Lominack, Chairman. Mrs. Barbara Weston, Vice Chairwoman. Dr. Erica Hersey, Secretary Treasurer. Dr. Richard Moore, Parliamentarian. Dr. Aaron Bishop. Ms. Angela Clyburn. And Mr. Jamie Devine. Also, our new superintendent, Dr. Todd Walker. And members of the superintendent's cabinet, would you please stand as well? Thank you. And I believe we have at least 2 members of our Richland One Hall of Fame with us this morning. Mr. Bob Coble, I still call him Mayor Bob, and Miss Regina Brown. Are you in the audience? If so, would you please stand? There she is. We also want to recognize any of our local elected officials and appointed officials who are in the audience. Would you please stand? Any local elected officials, appointed officials? Thank you so much. We also have several of our community partners here with us this morning to help us kick off the new school year. Would you please stand? Thank you so much. As I mentioned earlier, most Richland One employees will watch the convocation from their respective work sites, but we are happy to have our district employees of the year in the audience, and I'll ask them to stand and be recognized. First, Ms. J.C. Jones from Carver Lyon Elementary School, our 25-26 Teacher of the Year. Mr. Keith Wilder from our Nutrition Services team, our Classified Employee of the Year. And Ms. Catherine Parashotum from Harrell Hill Elementary School, our Induction Teacher of the Year. We also have several of our Teachers of the Year and Classified Employees of the Year from schools and departments in the audience. Would you please stand or make some noise so we can recognize you? So each year during our Back-to-School Convocation, in addition to our employee choir, we feature our amazing faculty jazz band. The faculty jazz band is comprised of Richland One band directors, plus 1 orchestra director and 1 director of guitar. Joining them again this year are 2 legendary retired Richland One band directors, Mr. Willie Lyles and Mr. Myron Thomas. Also, one of our more recent Dreher graduates, Ben Itzen. The faculty jazz band is coordinated and directed by Mr. Darrell Bird, who is the director of bands at Creighton Middle School. He also serves as our lead band teacher, Mr. Bird. Okay, so as they say on the As Seen on TV commercials, but wait, there's more. This year, performing with the faculty jazz band for the first time is our multi-talented Executive Director of Secondary Education, Dr. Kevin Hassinger. And now, performing, we're all in this together, and we are. Let's give it up for the Richland One Faculty Jazz Band. faculty jazz band. Let's hear it again. Thank you to Daryl Bird and all of our faculty jazz band members. At this time, I'll invite Chairman Robert Lominack to come up and bring greetings to everyone on behalf of the Board of School Commissioners. Please welcome him to the stage.
I did not know I was going to be following the jazz band, so I apologize in advance. Listen, as a former Latin teacher, my instinct this morning was to talk about the derivation of convocation. I've learned over the years not to follow my instinct, so I'm going to save you from that. But I do want to say on behalf of the board how much we appreciate the incredible team that it takes to provide opportunities for all of our students. From the folks who make sure our students get to school, to the folks who make sure our school is ready for students, to the team of folks, whether it's counselors and social workers and assistant principals who work with our kids and their families who need extra support, and to the teachers who close their doors and turn back around to 25 or 30 kids they are going to teach. It takes every single member of these teams, and let's not forget the folks who make sure our kids are fed in the morning and lunch and also after school. It takes all of these folks to make sure that we not just teach kids, but we reach them. And I cannot tell you how remarkable these teams are. And I know people think they know about these teams, but the reality is only the folks that work in all of our school buildings really understand how much teamwork goes into making sure that every single student has that chance. So on behalf of the entire school board, I want to thank the incredible group of folks that make this happen every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, and not to mention all the things that happen over the weekend that you guys go to or work on. And I also want to say and welcome Dr. Todd Walker to the district. I cannot tell you and explain in words how genuinely excited I am for Dr. Walker to be here this year. He is absolutely incredible. I've said this to anyone who has seen me after I've met with him. I said, that meeting was better than the one last week. I mean, every single time I meet with him, I am greeted by someone who's got more energy than I will ever have. He is more responsive probably than I will ever be. He is really pushing me, and I know will push everyone, including himself, this year. And I just am so thankful that he's here. I'm looking forward to an awesome, awesome year. To all of you, I know this week is busy. I know you're thinking about all the syllabi that you have to print out, the things you've got to hang on your walls. Enjoy this week. It is much out of it. Be ready for students when they get here next week, because they're coming whether we're ready or not. And on behalf of the board, genuinely, thank you, thank you, thank you.
And thank you, Chairman Lominack, for all that you do and for all that all of our board members do. Let's give our entire board a hand. So at this time, I'll read a couple of tweets from Hopkins Middle School. They say, Flight 1601 is preparing for takeoff. Hopkins Middle is rising together and soaring like eagles as we kick off the new school year watching the Richland One Convocation. Dr. Felicia White says, we're all in this together. Great job, faculty jazz band. And the early childhood team is in the house attending the convocation. Shout out to everyone. Keep those tweets coming. So, the back-to-school countdown has begun, as Mr. Lominack said. Our students will be returning August 11th. Our staff throughout the district are getting ready and have been getting ready for the big day. So just how excited are they? Let's take a look.
Let's go. Let's go. Let's go.
So I want to thank the R1 TV team, two of my staff members, Crystal Burgess and Rich Owensby, for that great video. Let's give them a hand. So to our board members, I want you to know that we have secured a celebrity to introduce our keynote speaker for today's convocation. Did you know that? Okay. So at a young age, he already has several acting credits, including the lead role in a Nathan's hot dog commercial, and he starred alongside NBA star Anthony Edwards of the Minnesota Timberwolves in a video helping to introduce Mr. Edwards' signature sneaker line to the world. You will also see him on season 10 of Tyler Perry's hit show, Sisters, on BET, BET Plus, and Philo, yes. This celebrity didn't have to travel too far to get here this morning. Why? Because he is a student right here in Richland One. More specifically, he is a student at Creighton Middle School. Shout out to Principal Angela Burns and her team. He is an excellent student whose goal is to be inducted, Mayor Bob and Regina Brown, into the Richland One Hall of Fame one day, and I think he's well on his way. Ladies and gentlemen, to introduce our keynote speaker, please welcome George Napoleon Thomas Martin, Jr.
Good morning, everyone. And guess what? We have a new superintendent. His name is Dr. Todd Walker. And when Dr. Walker was in elementary school, his dream was to become an astronaut. But he didn't travel to space. Instead, he found a way to help and inspire others by becoming an educator. Dr. Walker is super cool. He has not one, not two, not three, but four college degrees, including a PhD and a law degree. He is a husband, a father, and a dog dad. He used to run marathons, but now he is a triathlete, which means he swims, he bikes, and he runs a lot. And, man, I got tired just reading all that. Like, man, are you good? But he also collects vinyl records, especially jazz. And this is a vinyl record. For those who don't know. Dr. Walker's journey as an educator has led him over 500 miles from Columbus, Ohio to Columbia, South Carolina to lead our district. We're excited because he says we're going to work really hard this year and have fun. So everyone stand up. And let's give a big Richland One welcome to our new superintendent, Dr. Todd Walker.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I told George I'll have my bow tie on later this week, okay? So don't be too hard on me. But I appreciate each and every one of you for your presence here today. I don't take it for granted, especially for our students. I saw a couple cheerleaders yawning. I know it's early for you yet, but school will be here before you know it. You'll be back into the routine. But certainly I'm appreciative of all of you for engaging with us. Have several friends that are in the audience. Too many to name, but thank you for your presence, for being here. Certainly I want to acknowledge the Board of Commissioners for your presence here and your support. I think it goes without saying, but I'm going to say it anyway, that this work cannot be done without you working as co-laborers alongside of me. I would also say to the cabinet staff, thank you for your presence. We have a new deputy superintendent, Kelly Rivers. Just stand, Kelly, and wave so people can see you. And she is joining what I believe is a phenomenal team that is going to take this district to the next level. There's been so much wonderful work that's been done here, and I believe that we are on the precipice of greatness. And so I want to talk with you just a little bit today about a theme that we're calling Rising Together. Rising Together. I believe that everything rises and falls on leadership. We've all heard the phrase that a rising tide lifts all boats. Well, I believe that rising tide is leadership. And so as we consider this thought around leadership, it becomes important to us that we think about, to whom does leadership matter? To whom does leadership extend? Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. says it this way: leadership is not a position, leadership is a disposition. In other words, leadership is an attitude. Dr. Martin Luther King, in his message entitled The Drum Major Instinct, talks about this idea that everyone has a desire for greatness. Everyone wants to be important. Everyone wants to be great. But he drills down that into, and he says a definition for leadership that might be new to some, not for others, is that the greatest among us are those who serve. And everyone can be great because everyone can serve. Leadership is not a position. Leadership is a disposition. I want to introduce you to this gentleman here. His name is Charlie Plum, formerly Captain Charles Plum. Several significant facts about Charles Plum, but I want to highlight a few of them for us today. One is that Charles Plum flew 75 combat missions during the Vietnam War. The somewhat remarkable thing is that 74 missions he flew without being shot down. But on the 75th mission that he flew, he was shot down. Ended up spending more than 2,000 days in a prison as a prisoner of war there in Vietnam, and later was released and repatriated and back in the United States. And several years later, Charles Plum was sitting at lunch with his wife, and a gentleman comes up to him and he says, "Hey, you're Charles Plum." And somewhat surprised, he says, "Yes, that's me. How do you know who I am?" And the gentleman remarked to him, he said, "I'm the man who packed your parachute." And the moral of this story is that everyone matters. Some people don't matter more or less than others. Every role is critical to success. As much success as Charles Plum had he not had someone to pack his parachute on that last mission, he would not have been present there with the event with his wife. We heard recently on the news about miners that were in Chile, and I think one was killed, but several years ago there was a story of Chilean miners, 33 Chilean miners that were stuck in a mine. And the story goes that there were rescue workers that went in and helped them, and when you saw the lights, the camera, and the action that were out, and the report that the news made on the workers on the rescue workers got most of the shine. But how many know behind the bling there needs to be something? It wasn't just the rescue workers that were significant in the saving of those mine workers, but there were engineers that were part of that effort. There were geologists that were part of that effort. There were medical personnel that were part of that effort. And here's what I want you to take away from this, that everyone matters for success to take place. Even though some may be more prominent in terms of media exposure, you'll see me probably more than most on the news. You'll see me more than most in the front. But this work cannot be done by myself in isolation in excellence. It will take all of us co-laboring together, working as a cohesive team to move this district to what I believe will be significance and prominence. So where do we start? I believe that we have to start with why. Simon Sinek some years ago wrote a book that was called Start with Why. And in this particular text, in this book that he wrote, he talks about the difference between ordinary individuals and extraordinary individuals. He talks about the difference between ordinary organizations and extraordinary organizations. And he says that the difference between ordinary organizations and extraordinary organizations, ordinary people and extraordinary people, is that they start with why. What does it mean to start with why? When we think about it, there were many civil rights leaders during the 1950s and 60s. Why was it that Dr. Martin Luther King rose to prominence as the primary figure in that particular movement? There were many computer companies, such as IBM and Microsoft, and now more recently Dell. But why is it that Apple rose to prominence? How many in here have an iPhone or an iWatch? Raise your hand. Most everyone. There are many shoe companies. There's Adidas, there's Pumas, there's Converse. But why is it that Nike in the 1990s rose to prominence? Research tells us that it's because they started with why. Nike understood that it's not just about the shoes, but it's about a slogan that they came up with that's called Just Do It. Apple drilled down deep and they said, it's not just about making computers, it's about thinking different. Dr. Martin Luther King, many of us first heard his I Have a Dream speech during the March on Washington in 1963, but that was a speech that he had articulated many, many, many times before, and so he drilled down deep, and his why within him was that he had a dream. And I want to suggest to you that if we can dig down deep in this organization to a theme of rising together, that we too can start with why, and we can position ourselves for greatness. So what's my leadership story? I'm the son of two first-generation college graduates who chose to serve. My father started off as an executive in Sears, but about 10 years into his career, he was called to preach and spent the next 40 years of his life as a preacher. My mother started off as a teacher and worked as a public school educator for a number of years as a teacher, and then transitioned into a principal, finished her career in central office working with multilingual learners. It's kind of interesting. I heard many sermons from my fathers over the year. I'm a preacher's kid. But the best sermon that I heard my father preach didn't happen over a pulpit, and it didn't even happen in church. I was a college student, recently engaged towards the end of my college career. I was riding in the car with my father and my mother. My brother and his wife were in the car behind us. We're driving. We had actually just left the church service. We're driving to go out to get something to eat, as church folks do after a Sunday brunch. You know, that's what we like to do. And on the way there, on the side of the road, there was a man laying halfway in the street, halfway on the curb. My father pulled the car over, got out of the car. We're all wondering, what's he doing? Went over and pulled this man up off the curb and spent the next 10 to 15 minutes talking to this man, just making sure that he was okay. And I will tell you, of all the messages that I heard my father preach over the year, that lived experience has impacted me the most. Because it said to me that it's not just about what you do when you're in front of people, it's what you do when no one sees you that matters most. I told you that my mother was a public school educator, and my mother was my first teacher. She taught us how to read. She taught us how to count. Kind of interesting that my mother made sure that not only Paul Laurence Dunbar, but also Henry David Thoreau were conspicuous in our home. That both Robert Frost and Langston Hughes were evident in our home. Two roads diverged in the yellow wood, and I took the one less traveled by, and that made all the difference. Son, life for me ain't been no crystal stair. She ensured that we had a foundation to understand that we needed to understand the value of unity in diversity, and the point that every voice matters and every person has value. Not only am I the son of two first-generation college graduates, but I'm the grandson of the Great Migration. Both of my grandparents, paternal and maternal, migrated from the Deep South. My maternal grandparents came from Arkansas. My paternal grandparents came from Louisiana. In this picture here, you'll see my maternal grandfather and grandmother, and with them are their 7 children. My mother has the white shirt on there in the front. And of all of their 7 children, neither one of my grandparents were college educated. My grandmother had only an 8th grade education until she was in her 40s. But they ensured that all 7 of their children went to college. My uncle ended up going to the Navy. All 6 of the girls were first-generation college graduates. But here's what I want you to know that I think is most remarkable about the story, and it's about my grandmother. My grandmother, after raising 7 kids, and I mentioned to you that she had only had an 8th grade education, but she went back and completed her educational experience, and then went back and worked as a cafeteria school manager, they called it at the time, from age 50 to age 80. She was so significant that at the time of her death, they wrote a resolution, which I brought with me today, in her honor. They lived in a little town called Romulus, which is right outside of Detroit. It's where the Detroit International Airport is. And I'm going to read just a portion of this to you. Whereas Taretha Allen was married to her husband, Joe Allen, for 68 years. They lived on Beverly Road in Romulus for over 63 years. People still talk about the beautiful flowers that always surrounded their home. She and her husband loved doing things together, such as going out to dinner, but most of all, they enjoyed their family and 7 children. Taretha worked for the city of Romulus as an election inspector for many years, and she also worked as a cafeteria manager at Romulus Community Schools until she retired at the age of 80 years young. Remember Dr. Martin Luther King's quote that everyone can be great because everyone can serve. And from my grandmother, I learned this lesson that no matter what you do in a district, it doesn't matter if you are a secretary, it doesn't matter if you are an executive assistant, if you're a bus driver, if you're a custodian, if you work in food nutrition, if you're an instructional assistant, if you're a teacher, if you're a principal, or if you're a superintendent, every person in the district matters and everyone's leadership matters. So what's my leadership philosophy? I believe that effective leadership occurs and significant outcomes are achieved through involvement, collaboration, and focus. No involvement, no commitment, no ownership. So from students to faculty and staff, you will have an opportunity to be involved in the work of our district this year. But we also have to ensure that all stakeholders have a clear understanding of the why, the how, and the what of the system. See, we had a remarkable jazz band that was here, and it's kind of interesting when the drum soloists start hitting on the drums. Where the drum soloist? Is he in here? The guy who was on the drums? Stand up for me. Stand up for me. So yeah, give him a round of applause. Thank you. When he started playing, I had flashbacks to Whiplash. Y'all ever seen that movie with the... No, okay, go watch Whiplash. It was pretty intense. But here's the moral of this, that we have to increase collaboration so that we can move towards clarity, coherence, for greater effectiveness. What does it mean to have clarity and coherence for greater effectiveness? So I have two sort of examples of this. One is this is an orchestra, but it could be a jazz band. And the idea is that you have to have one band, one sound, one score. Imagine a situation where instead of one conductor, there are multiple conductors. Imagine the confusion that would have ensued in the jazz band, because they sounded real good. Imagine if they all had their own sheet of music, but it was based off of a different score. It's possible to play a sheet of music perfectly, but if the person that's next to you is not playing off the same score, and they're also playing their sheet of music perfectly, what ends up coming out to the audience is more like noise and less like music. I'd like to suggest to us that we have to make sure that it's not just about what I do, the piece that I do and doing that in excellence. It's about ensuring that everything that we're doing is not only done in excellence individually, but it's done in excellence collectively. It's about our collective efforts that are going to change the community's impression from a sound of noise, perhaps, to a sound of beautiful music. And so we have to ensure that we are doing this work together. Another example I provide is this idea of sports. So I'm trying to hit everybody, because I know everyone isn't into music. Some people aren't into sports. Phil Jackson, one of the iconic coaches in the NBA over a number of years, had tremendous success that he experienced across two teams in particular, the Chicago Bulls and the Los Angeles Lakers. Kind of interesting that before Phil Jackson came to the Chicago Bulls, Michael Jordan had multiple times been the Defensive Player of the Year, and he had even been the most valuable player. But he never won a championship until Phil Jackson showed up. Kind of interesting, before Phil Jackson came to the Lakers, Kobe Bryant was one of the most talented players that the league has ever seen. Some say the most talented. Shaquille O'Neal was a dominant force in the paint, but they never won a championship. But I'd like to suggest to you that it wasn't Phil Jackson that made the difference. What made the difference was the triangle offense that he brought. And the significance of the triangle offense was that everyone has to be clear on what their role is and what their responsibility is and how it contributes to the success of the entire organization. It doesn't matter how talented we are individually if we're not playing together. And so we have to ensure that it's not just about our individual accomplishments and our individual greatness, but it's about how we can be great together. What does it mean to understand what my specific role is and what your specific role is? Role clarity and clarity around processes, practices, and structures is what will help us get to the next level. And so, what do you mean? I mean, no matter what you see, there's always more. When you see an iceberg, you're only looking at about 10% of what actually is going on. The other 90% of that thing is happening below the surface of the water. And so, if we're only dealing with the tip of the iceberg, that means that we're focused on people, personality, and politics. Now, understand, I'm not saying that we don't have to worry about those things. There are times when we have to deal with people, personalities, and politics. But 90% of our time should be focused on processes, practices, structures, roles, and responsibilities. Roles, goals, processes, practices, and structures should be 90% of our time. And oftentimes in organizations, this is inverse. Oftentimes, if we're not clear on roles, goals, processes, and practices, we can end up spending 90% of our time on people, personalities, and politics instead of the meat of the work, which is the processes, the roles, goals, and responsibilities. It's interesting, W.E. Demings, who's considered the father of business management, said this: 85% of issues in an organization are not because of people, they're because of a lack of clarity around process. So we are the district. Success is not going to come. Significance won't come if we wait from some other people at some other time in some other place. We are the ones we've been waiting for. The district isn't out there. The district's in here. The district's being streamed right now. There's not some other district out there. We are the district. And so what does it mean for us to be the district? It means that we have to take ownership over the things that we can't control. Kind of interesting, when I sent my kids to school, and my children went to public school and some private school, I sent the best kids. My wife and I sent the best kids that we had to school. We weren't holding back some other better kids at home. I guarantee you, if you have children, when you sent your children to school, you sent the best kids that you had to school. You weren't holding back the better kids at home. And I'm telling you, our parents and our community are sending the best that they have. And so it doesn't behoove us to spend a lot of time complaining about that. Where our time should be spent focused on is what happens in the 7 to 7.5 hours that we have them every single day. See, change has to be with us. Change doesn't start out there. Change starts in here. Change starts with me. The first person I lead is me, and the first person that you lead is you. So according to Robert Swain, change management researcher, the things that normally bring about change, there's 6 of them. There's crisis. There can be performance gaps, changes and advances in technology such as AI, identification of new opportunities, reaction to internal or external pressures, mergers, or acquisitions. I think we can find something in pretty much all of those that are impacting this particular system right now. Systems change can be defined as shifting components or parts of a system and the patterns of interaction between those parts. It's about how we interact with each other. How are we treating each other? How do we talk to each other? How do we pick up the phone? How do we respond when something doesn't go our way? How we are interacting with each other is going to send the biggest message to the community about our level of expertise and quality in our service to their children. And so I'm going to be expecting and pushing us to look at it in a critical way about how it is that we're interacting with each other. There are no big I's or little U's. There's only our team together. And we have to make sure that we're not making people feel less than in how we treat them and how we speak to them and how we talk to them. Every voice matters. And from the smallest of voices can come the greatest of ideas. We have to work together. And working together means that we have to appreciate to collaborate. It's kind of interesting when we teach kindergartners and we tell them share, we don't just say, hey, okay, Johnny and Susie, you share and walk away and know that they're going to get it done. No, we are explicit in what we mean by sharing. We say, hey, Johnny, you get it for 5 minutes and then, or 2 minutes, and then Susie, you get it for another 2 minutes or 5 minutes. We say, Luis, you get it for 5 minutes, and then Shaquita, you get it for 3 minutes. But we're explicit about what we mean by sharing. Kind of interesting when we say collaborate to adults, we say, okay, collaborate, and the presumption is that people know what that means, but I'd like to suggest to you that adults don't know what it means to collaborate. Oftentimes, we think collaborate means we talk about it and you do what I said. See, you have to appreciate to collaborate. Where there's no appreciation, there can be no collaboration, and the depth and breadth of appreciation will determine the longevity and the effectiveness of collaboration. When you appreciate, you have to seek out, you search out, you understand. Did I understand you to say? And particularly when we have complex issues, we have to spend more time in appreciation before we're trying to make a decision in collaboration. If we're not appreciating and collaborating, I can guarantee you we're in fight or flight. Now, this is for self-inspection, not for others. Don't look at the person next to you and say, that's you, you're the fighter right there. No. This is for a self-check-in. Because all of us, depending on the situation and the circumstance, can be in fight and flight. And so we're going to see this symbol in this diagram many times as we work together over the next years. Because I think it's important for us to understand that if we're not appreciating and collaborating, we're fighting and flighting, and that's not effective for anyone. Some people say, well, at least if I'm not fighting, I'm not causing the issue. Well, when you don't participate in the process and then you go back and you supplant the process, that's you not collaborating. So there's no opt-out. There's only all in if we're going to be most effective together. And so I love this African proverb. It says, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. How many want to go far? All right, the camera caught all y'all. Camera, make sure you caught every hand up. They want to go far. So what does it mean to go far together? Well, it means that we have to be clear about our values and our norms. Our values are that collaboration must be in place to increase performance. We have to have trust to accelerate outcomes. Trust is one of those commodities that is hard to be built, but it's easily lost. Details to promote execution. And I believe that execution is the discipline of getting things done. Processes to guide people, create, curate, and implement products. What are our norms? To be on time, to make space for our commitment of time, clear communication of our commitments for the next meeting. Meetings are to leaders as fields are to farmers. And if not done well, there will be no crop. Actively listening and being actively present. I believe that when we're in meetings, we need to have phones down and laptops shut down unless we're using them for the meeting. Because half of us don't know what happened to me. You sat in there for a whole hour and don't know what happened. Because you was checking emails, you was on text, you know everything else, but what happened in that meeting? And so we have to push ourselves in that space. No hidden agendas. I believe that you have to talk to people, not about people. Now here's the thing. There are times from a leadership place that we have to talk about people in a confidential way because we have to take employment action. But I'm talking about in a colloquial way. I'm talking about how it is that we're thinking about people that we work with. And I believe if there's an issue, you solve the issue at the lowest level possible, and that's by going to that person and saying, hey, this happened. Can we resolve this? And then if it doesn't happen there, you take it to the next level. And we're going to become explicit in this organization across our district about how it is that we expect to deal with issues as they arrive. That's going to be important for us. And it has to be that this is a safe environment. Open dialogue with respect. And I believe in being specific, direct, open, honest, and caring. I'm going to generally praise in public and correct in private. If you say something crazy in public, then you might get corrected in public. But generally, I'm going to praise in public and correct in private. And I would ask you to do the same as well. You'll hear very soon about a 90-day plan. On August the 7th, we have our meet and greet. We're here at Dreher High School. Thank you to the Dreher staff and everyone who has allowed us to be in this space. Let's give them a big round of applause. We're going to spread the love on Thursday, August the 7th. We'll be at C.A. Johnson High School talking about our 90-day plan with our community meet and greet. So I just want to give you a preview of that for all of our faculty and staff that may or may not be able to be part of the August the 7th C.A. Johnson event from 6 to 7:30. So our overarching goal for our 90-day plan is to get clear about what we're solving for. And I love this Albert Einstein quote that says that the framing of a problem is often more important than the solution, because the way that we frame our problem determines the type of solutions that we look for. I'd like to suggest to you that there's nothing wrong with our students. I'm going to go to this side of the room. I'd like to suggest to you there's nothing wrong with our students. And there's nothing wrong with you. Remember, as I said, W. Demings tells us 85% of the issues in the organization are not people issues, they're process issues. And so we're going to have to get clear about what are our processes, practices, structures, roles, and goals. If we're going to be more effective and increasingly effective, we have to get increasingly clear about roles, responsibilities, processes, practices, and structures, and how we work together to be most effective as a team. So what does this look like? In phase 1, we'll be listening and learning. So 30 days starts August 7th. Okay, that's day 1. So I'll be engaging with the board. I've already begun doing much of this, but this will happen increasingly in phase 1. Senior leadership assessment. So we'll continue to appreciate and assess senior leadership. School visits and educational leadership. Financial assessment and community engagement. So if you want a deeper dive into this, come back on Thursday. We're also going to release a detailed version of that plan that will be available for internal stakeholders and external stakeholders as well. Phase 2, weeks 5 through 8, a deep assessment and early implementation regarding academic performance, financial systems, organizational assessment, and stakeholder collaboration. And then finally, in phase 3, we'll be looking at academic improvement planning, financial recovery planning, strategic planning, and communication and reporting. Look, I don't believe in hiding and trying to run away from difficult things. Leaders have to look a thing in the face and call a thing a thing. If we messed it up, we messed it up. If we didn't do it right, we didn't do it right. You cannot fix something that you don't appropriately diagnose. The first step to prescription is an effective diagnosis. You can't recover from something that you don't admit you have a problem in. And neither can I. So we're going to all have to grow and stretch together. We're going to have to commit to admitting and owning things that are not going well so that we can fix it. Because if all we do is push it to the side and say, well, that wasn't that, excuses are tools of incompetence. It's okay to have an explanation, but after the explanation, you need to have a response about what you're going to do differently. Okay, I'm going to let y'all out of this thing. Okay, so what's going to happen next after that? In January, we're going to give a draft of our Richland One Vision 2030, which is essentially a 5-year picture of where we want to go. It's a vision. I believe that vision is a comprehensive, detailed picture of the future that includes everyone. Everyone has to be able to see themselves in the vision, and we need to be clear about what the cultural expectations are, which is just how we do things around here. What do I mean by comprehensive and detailed? When my children were in their late elementary, middle school, my wife, most of our education we did while my kids, I think we both had bachelor's degrees, but most of our other education we did while we had kids. And so there were times when she was doing more of the home stuff, and there were other times when I was doing more of the home stuff, but I never learned how to cook really well. So I had to rely on Blue Apron. And what I loved about Blue Apron, it was comprehensive and detailed. Now, my kids still talk about me this day because what Blue Apron said would take 30 minutes usually took me 2 to 3 hours. But that's okay. It was comprehensive and detailed. And I was able to follow that thing down to it said, hey, get out the rice, cut the carrots, okay, potatoes, all of the things, and it was explicit. And so I believe that in order for us to get to a place together, we have to be comprehensive and detailed so everyone understands exactly what it is that's expected of them. We also have to have a clear picture of the future. If I told you, hey, we're taking a trip and we're going to California, and that was all I said, that's probably not going to be enough to get us to the same place. Because some people might end up in San Francisco, others would be in San Diego, some would be in LA. We'd be all over the place. So it requires us to be very clear about where it is that we're going, and not just that, how are we going to get there? See, culture is the vehicle that's going to get us from our here to our tomorrow. And you have to be clear about culture, because culture says, how do we interact? How do we treat each other? How do we talk to each other? How do we work together? And that's the vehicle. You can't be in 2 different cultures and get to the same place as an organization. Imagine trying to take a car and a boat at the same time. Imagine trying to fly and take a car at the same time. It wouldn't be very effective. So we have to be very clear about what our culture is, because we're one organization rising together. Not 2 and 3 different organizations arriving at different times. That makes for chaos, not coherence. Coherence is shared meaning and shared understanding about the thing that we're working on. What is the thing that we're going to do? Are we clear about it? Do we have shared meaning and shared understanding about how it is that we're going to get there? See, the vision also has to include everyone. I love that we have this image of a vinyl record here. It's kind of interesting. In the early 1900s, this gentleman here wanted to send a message to his followers. And this was obviously before we had the communication tools that we have now. So there was no texting. There was no even landline. Some of y'all remember the landline. Some of the kids in here don't even remember that. There certainly were no cell phones. They had to use this ancient device called a telegraph. And he had to pay by the letter. And so he didn't have, first he wrote out a message and he said, okay, this is what I think I want to send to my followers. They're in another city. He writes it out and he gives it to the operator and they say, hey, you know what, it costs this much. He said, I don't have that. And so he went back and he had to get down to one word. And the one word that he came up with was others. His name was William Booth, founder of the Salvation Army. And I'd like to suggest to you today that I also have one word. Not because of a lack of technology. Certainly, there's enough technology here that I could give you paragraphs, pages, and you could get it instantly. But if, like William Booth, I only had one word, one opportunity to give for us for how we're going to guide ourselves as a district, my one word would be students. And I hope that will be your word as well. See, if the focus is students and not adults, we're winning. If the focus is students and not politics, we're winning. If the focus is students and not everything else that we can't control, we win. And we win together. I believe in the power of credos. And the reason I believe in the power of credos is because what we've discovered since the beginning of time as human beings is that our worlds are framed by the words of our mouth and they're created by our choices. Our worlds are framed by the words of our mouth and they're created by our choices. We can never enter into something that we don't first say. If you ever want to achieve anything, anyone in here who's a teacher or a cafeteria food nutrition person or someone that is in central office, you first had to say it before you could be it. If you're a board member in here, you had to say it before you could be it. And if you can't say it, you can never become it. Kind of interesting, I've used credos over the course of my careers. I had a group called Real Young Men, and I would have them repeat, young men typically in educational settings, this credo, and it says, I am a real young man. I have greatness in me. I must be responsible to release it. I am powerful. I must be empowered to contain it. I am wealthy. I must understand affluence or forfeit it. I am significant. I must plan to leave a legacy or regret it. Later on, when I became a high school principal, I had a credo that says, I am somebody going somewhere in pursuit of excellence. I choose to lead. I am significant, courageous, outstanding, and talented. And I believe that through those efforts, we were able to achieve remarkable things in all of the spaces that I was in. So we have a credo here that we're going to release today. You all ready? Okay. So the beginning of this, we're going to practice it maybe a couple of times, is repeat after me. And then the last line is call and response. So if you've ever been in church, you'll get it, okay? It's a cadence to it, okay? It's a cadence. I told you I'm a preacher's kid. All right. So repeat after me. We are Richland One. Rich with talent. Full of potential. Yet discovered. Today, I am greater than my yesterday. And in my tomorrow, our future is bright. I am rising. You are rising. We are rising together. All right, so we're going to practice it again. Now, here's the thing. When we say the last line, I'm going to say, so you don't say we are rising, that's the call and response, okay? So we're going to get that down. But I'm going to say we are rising, and then you say, together. We are rising. Together. We are rising. Together. Okay, y'all quick group. All right, let's go back. We're going to get this thing. All right. We are Richland One. Rich with talent. Full of potential. Yet discovered. Today, I am greater than my yesterday. And in my tomorrow, our future is bright. I am rising. You are rising. We are rising. We are rising. We are rising. My name's Todd Walker. I'm your superintendent, and I approve this message.
Give it up for Dr. Walker. Well, he says he's a preacher's kid, and I had the fortune and blessing to meet his father and his mother when he brought them by the district office the other week. But he was doing that good preaching himself, wasn't he? I heard some wows and some amens. So we appreciate that message, Dr. Walker, and we are blessed to have you as our superintendent in Richland One. So a couple of more tweets as our choir gets into place for the closing performance. From Forest Heights Elementary School, they say Forest Heights is fired up and ready for an amazing year. We're tuned in and loving Convocation 25-26. Let's go Eagles. From Hopkins Middle School, they say one band, one sound means that we are all in this together. And our athletics department says great message. So again, great message, Dr. Walker. So I'd like to note that today's convocation will be posted on our Richland One TV YouTube channel, and it will be broadcast on R1 TV on Spectrum Cable Channel 1303. I want to thank again our program participants and our audience members, and let's give a big shout out to the 4,000 plus colleagues who are watching this live, or who will be watching the recording later today at their respective work sites. Let's give them a hand. So we also want to thank Dreher Principal Dr. Joe Eberlin and his staff for hosting us this morning. Let's give them a hand. I also want to shout out Mr. Kerry Abel, our Dropout Prevention and Mentoring Services Coordinator, who also serves as our Employee Choir Coordinator. Mr. Abel. Also, a shout out to a few others. Shout out to my team and our volunteers in the Office of Communications, as well as to Dr. Candace Kopic and her team in our Information Technology Department, our District Athletics Director, Mr. Bob Matz, and our high school athletics directors and principals, Mr. Moses Brown and his team in our Security and Emergency Services Department, and thanks to all of the cheerleaders representing all of our high schools. As we prepare for the start of a new school year, let's remember that we are all here for our 22,000 students who deserve nothing less than for us to be on our A games every day. Let's also commit ourselves to working, leading, communicating and collaborating with compassion. Put a little love in your heart, because if you're not on the love train, you better get on board, because in Richland One, we are rising together. The Richland One Employee Choir.
People all over the world, join hands, start a love train, love train. People all over the world, join hands, start a love train, love train. People all over the world, join hands, start a love train, love train. People all over the world, join hands, start a love train, love train. Take a good look around, and if you're looking down, put a little love in your heart. I hope when you decide, kindness will be your guide. Put a little love in your heart, and the world will be a better place, and the world will be a better place for you and me. You just wait and see. People all over the world, join hands, start a love train, love train. People all over the world, join hands, start a love train, love train. Another day goes by, and still the children cry. Put a little love in your heart. If you want the world to know, we won't let hatred grow. Put a little love in your heart, and the world will be a better place, and the world will be a better place for you and me. You just wait and see. People all over the world, join hands, start a love train, love train. People all over the world, join hands, start a love train, love train. Put a little love in your heart. Put a little love, put a little love in your heart. In your heart. Put a little love in your heart. Put a little love, put a little love in your heart. In your heart. Put a little love. People all over the world, join hands, start a love train, love train. People all over the world, join hands, start a love train, love train. People all over the world, join hands, start a love train, love train. People all over the world, join hands, put a little love in your heart.
The Richland One Employee Choir. Let's have a great school